The moment you decided to walk away, everything changed. Not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply. Your silence spoke what your words never could. Your absence did what your presence kept trying to do for so long. And now, they are waking up to a truth they can no longer ignore. If this message found you, it's not by accident. Something shifted the day you chose yourself, and the energy around this connection is moving fast. Welcome to Sophia, a space where hidden emotions rise to the surface and unspoken realizations finally come to light. This reading is for those who walked away with a heavy heart, not to punish, but to protect their soul. Before we go any further, remember, only take what resonates with you and leave the rest behind. This message is meant to meet you where you are, not to force anything that doesn't belong. The three cards that step forward for this powerful message are the Eight of Cups, Judgment, and the Tower. Even without their full meaning revealed yet, their energy alone speaks volumes. These cards show emotional departure, sudden awakening, and a truth that hits hard and fast. They suggest that your decision to leave wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a realization that shook them to their core. What they're feeling now didn't happen while you stayed, waited, or kept giving chances. It happened when you stopped, when you chose peace over confusion, when you walked away without looking back. There is regret here, awareness here, and a deep moment of clarity unfolding. So stay with me, because as we move deeper into this reading, the cards will reveal exactly how your walking away opened their eyes, what realization finally hit them, and what this awakening truly means for both of you. When the Eight of Cups, Judgment, and the Tower come together in a reading, they tell a powerful story of emotional departure, awakening, and truth that can no longer be ignored. Together, these three cards reveal that your walking away was not an ending born from weakness or impulsiveness. It was a soul-led decision that triggered a chain reaction they were never prepared for. Each card represents a stage of the awakening they experienced only after you chose yourself. The Eight of Cups shows the beginning of this shift. It captures the quiet moment when you realized that staying was costing you your peace. You didn't leave because you stopped loving them. You left because you were loving yourself enough to stop accepting less than you deserved. This card carries the pain of walking away from something that once meant everything, but also the courage to seek emotional fulfillment elsewhere. Your departure wasn't loud or dramatic. It was heavy, silent, and final in a way that changed the energy of the connection forever. Then Judgment steps in, revealing what happened after you left. This card represents the inner reckoning they could no longer avoid. Without your presence to soften the reality, they were forced to reflect on their actions, their patterns, and the moments they failed to show up for you. Judgment shows that your absence became the wake-up call. They began to understand that love is not guaranteed, that effort matters, and that losing you was not bad luck, but the result of choices they made when they thought you would always stay. Judgment also brings validation for you. It confirms that your decision was aligned with a higher truth. Even if you doubted yourself, even if walking away felt painful, this card shows that your soul was answering a deeper call for growth and self-respect. By leaving, you stepped into a new chapter, one where you no longer carry the weight of someone else's emotional avoidance. The Tower completes this story with impact and intensity. While the Eight of Cups was a slow, emotional goodbye and Judgment was a moment of realization, the Tower is the shock that followed. This card shows the collapse of illusions they were living under. They believed things would remain the same. They believed your patience had no limit. When you walked away, the foundation they relied on crumbled because it was built on imbalance. The Tower reveals how quickly their sense of control disappeared once you were gone. Together, these cards show that your walking away dismantled the false stability of the connection. You were the one holding it together, and once you stepped back, everything they avoided came crashing down. This wasn't meant to punish them, but to reveal the truth. The awakening they are experiencing now is uncomfortable, emotional, and deeply personal. They are facing regret, awareness, and the realization of what they lost. For you, the combined message of these cards is empowerment. The Eight of Cups reminds you of your strength. Judgment reassures you that your choice was right. The Tower confirms that what fell apart was never meant to last as it was. You didn't destroy something beautiful. You exposed what was unsustainable. By choosing yourself, you allowed the universe to clear what no longer aligned with your worth. These three cards together also suggest that silence can be louder than words. No argument, explanation, or ultimatum could have triggered this level of awakening. It was your absence that did it. Walking away became the message. It shifted the dynamic, changed the power, and forced them to see the truth they avoided while you were still there. Whether this awakening leads to change or remains a painful lesson is not for you to carry. These cards make it clear that your role was to honor your soul, not to teach them how to love. You did your part by choosing peace over confusion and self-respect over emotional exhaustion. The combined energy of the Eight of Cups, Judgment, and the Tower shows that your walking away was divine timing. It wasn't random. It was necessary. It created awareness, broke illusions, and opened a path for truth. And most importantly, it brought you back to yourself, which is the greatest awakening of all. The Eight of Cups comes forward as a deeply emotional card in this situation, and it speaks directly to the moment you chose to walk away. Even though your heart wasn't fully ready to let go, this card is not about giving up in anger or walking away without feeling. It is about reaching a quiet breaking point where your soul says, I can't stay here anymore. You may have tried to hold on, hoping things would change, believing that love, patience, or understanding would be enough. But the Eight of Cups shows that there came a moment when staying started to hurt more than leaving. In this connection, your walking away was not impulsive. It was slow, heavy, and full of inner conflict. You didn't leave because you stopped caring. You left because you cared too much and were losing yourself. This card shows someone turning their back on cups that are still standing, still filled with memories, emotions, and unspoken words. That's exactly what happened here. You didn't destroy the connection. You simply realized it no longer fulfilled you in the way your soul needed. What's important is what happened on the other side of your decision. The Eight of Cups reveals that your absence created a silence they were not prepared for. While you were present, they felt secure, even if they didn't show it. They believed you would always be there, always understanding, always waiting. But the moment you walked away, that comfort disappeared, and in that silence, they were forced to face themselves. This card shows them finally noticing the emotional space you once filled. They are realizing how much you carried, how much you gave without asking for anything in return. The Eight of Cups is about emotional awareness that comes too late, and that is exactly the energy surrounding them now. They are looking back at what they had, questioning their choices, replaying moments they once took for granted. For you, this card is also about strength. Walking away required courage, especially when part of you still loved them. You didn't leave because you were weak. You left because you were finally strong enough to honor your own emotional needs. The Eight of Cups shows a person walking toward the unknown, guided only by inner truth. You may not have known what would come next, but you knew you couldn't stay where you were. This decision triggered their awakening because it broke a pattern. They were used to your emotional presence being constant. Your departure disrupted that cycle. Now they are seeing the connection differently. They are beginning to understand that love is not guaranteed, that effort matters, and that neglect has consequences. This realization didn't come through arguments or explanations. It came through loss. The Eight of Cups also shows that this awakening is emotional, not just mental. They are feeling it in their chest, in their quiet moments, in the absence of your voice. They are confronting feelings they avoided for a long time: regret, longing, and a deeper understanding of what they failed to appreciate or rising to the surface. This is the wake-up call your soul couldn't deliver with words. At the same time, this card gently reminds you not to look back in doubt. You may wonder if you did the right thing, or if you should have stayed longer. The Eight of Cups says you listened to your intuition when it mattered most. Your walking away was an act of self-respect, and that energy is powerful. It not only protected you, but it also forced truth into the light. In the context of this topic, the Eight of Cups makes one thing clear. Your absence became the lesson. Walking away didn't end the story. It changed it. It shifted the power, awakened their awareness, and allowed your soul to move forward with dignity. Whether they act on this awakening or not, the realization has already begun, and it was your strength that sparked it. The Judgment card enters this reading as a powerful moment of truth, and it speaks directly to the awakening that happened after you walked away. This card is about realization, accountability, and the kind of clarity that cannot be avoided anymore. In this situation, Judgment shows that your absence became a mirror they were finally forced to look into. When you were still there, they could delay, distract themselves, or pretend everything was fine. But once you left, the noise stopped, and the truth grew louder. Judgment is not gentle. It doesn't whisper. It arrives when the soul is ready, or when it has no choice but to wake up. This card tells us that they are now replaying their actions, their words, and the moments they failed to show up for you. They are recognizing patterns they once ignored and understanding how their choices led to this outcome. This is not surface-level regret. This is deep self-reflection that touches the core of who they are. What makes this awakening so intense is that it didn't come from confrontation. You didn't demand answers or closure. You simply chose to walk away. Judgment shows that this choice activated their conscience. They are realizing that you didn't leave because you were dramatic or impatient. You left because something inside you reached its limit, and now they are being called to acknowledge their role in that ending. This card also shows a strong sense of too late energy. They are seeing what you offered, how genuine your feelings were, and how rare that kind of emotional presence truly is. Judgment brings awareness of lost chances and unspoken apologies. They are understanding that love is not just felt, it is shown, protected, and nurtured. And in failing to do that, they may have lost someone who genuinely cared. For you, judgment brings validation. It confirms that your decision to walk away was not wrong. You may have questioned yourself, wondering if you were too harsh or if you should have stayed longer. This card clears that doubt. It shows that your soul was responding to a deeper calling, one that asked you to choose growth over familiarity and self-respect over emotional exhaustion. Judgment also speaks of emotional rebirth. By walking away, you closed one chapter and opened another, even if you didn't fully realize it at the time. This card suggests that your energy shifted the moment you chose yourself. You stepped into a higher version of who you are, someone who no longer accepts half-effort or silence where love should be. For them, this awakening is uncomfortable but necessary. Judgment shows that they can no longer avoid the truth of how they treated you. They are being asked by their own conscience to take responsibility, whether they express it to you or not. This is the kind of realization that changes someone because it forces them to confront not just the loss of you, but the parts of themselves that contributed to that loss. In the context of this topic, judgment makes one thing very clear. Your walking away was the wake-up call. It wasn't meant to punish. It was meant to reveal. Your absence triggered their awareness, their regret, and their understanding of what love truly requires. Whether they rise to this realization or remain stuck in guilt is their choice. But the truth has already been heard, and once judgment speaks, nothing remains the same. This card reminds you that endings can also be beginnings. And sometimes the most powerful message you can send is the one you deliver by choosing yourself and walking away. The Tower arrives in this reading as the moment everything they believed was stable suddenly collapses. This card carries intense energy, and in the context of your walking away, it shows the shock that finally forced them to wake up. While you were present, they felt safe in patterns that no longer served either of you. They believed things would stay the same, that you would remain, that your love was unshakable. The Tower reveals how deeply wrong that assumption was. Your departure hit them like lightning. Not because they didn't sense your unhappiness, but because they never thought you would actually leave. The Tower is about false foundations, and this connection was built on an imbalance they ignored for too long. You were holding things together emotionally, smoothing over cracks, making excuses, and carrying weight that was never meant to be yours alone. When you walked away, the structure collapsed because it was never stable without you. This card shows chaos, but not without purpose. The Tower doesn't destroy what is real, it destroys what is built on illusion. They are now realizing that their comfort came from your patience, your understanding, and your willingness to stay even when your needs weren't met. Once that was gone, everything they avoided began to surface. Confusion, regret, panic, and sudden clarity all rushed in at once. The Tower also reveals how fast this awakening happened. Unlike the slow realization of the Eight of Cups or the reflective awareness of judgment, the Tower strikes suddenly. One moment they felt in control, and the next, everything changed. Your silence, your absence, your emotional withdrawal shook them to their core. They were forced to face the reality that they lost something valuable, not because of fate, but because of their own choices. For you, the Tower represents liberation, even if it didn't feel that way at first. Walking away may have felt painful, scary, or overwhelming, but it was necessary. This card shows that staying would have required you to continue living in an unstable emotional space. By leaving, you allowed the truth to come down, both for them and for yourself. Sometimes the universe uses discomfort to break patterns we refuse to release. This card also shows that their awakening came through loss, not conversation. No explanation could have shaken them the way your absence did. The Tower energy suggests they are now questioning everything. What they believed about the connection, about themselves, and about love. They are seeing where they became complacent, where they took you for granted, and where they failed to show up emotionally. The Tower does not guarantee reconciliation, but it does guarantee truth. They can no longer pretend that everything was fine or that you were asking for too much. The illusion is gone. What remains is raw awareness. This can be uncomfortable, but it is also the only way real change can happen. Whether they grow from this or remain stuck in regret depends on what they choose to build next. In this topic, the Tower makes one thing undeniable. Your walking away was the earthquake that woke them up. It shattered the fantasy that you would always stay, no matter how you were treated. It forced them to confront reality without the cushion of your presence. And while this collapse was painful, it was necessary. For you, the Tower is a reminder that you didn't ruin anything. You revealed the truth. What fell apart was never meant to last in its current form. By choosing yourself, you allowed false stability to crumble and made space for something real, grounded, and aligned with your worth. That is the true power of this card in your story.